Hello, welcome to Business Week, the program that brings you top business stories that made the headlines during the week, including interviews, features, and market data. Welcome, it's your business. The recently concluded Russia-Africa Summit in Sochi came with a lot of promises for the oil and non-oil sectors of Nigeria's economy. Economic experts describe the opportunities provided as good for growth while advising the country to explore them. Lara Falayo reports.
Nigeria's talks with Russia at the summit centered on completing abandoned projects in both countries. The two nations agreed to improve efficiency of Nigeria's oil sector. This includes rehabilitation of refineries through a joint venture between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and Russian leading oil company. It is also to allow for deep offshore oil projects. A memorandum of understanding was signed at the meeting to drive the initiative.
Africa is a beautiful bride right now, and all the other continents are chasing Africa. You have China, you have America, you have even India, and you have Japan, and the European Union. They're all offering great packages to Africa. So knowing that Africa is the biggest emerging integrated economy, Russia couldn't be left behind.
The Nigerian and Russian governments agreed to start new infrastructural projects while expanding trade and investments between the two countries. The Russian government particularly pledged commitment to supporting the development of Nigeria's rail infrastructure through construction of a 1,400-kilometer rail track from Lagos to Calabar.
A team has to be set up quickly and real quick. You know, I think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should lead the team, you know, with different segments, those who are going to be heading the power sector project for the nuclear project that is being, that's being pushed for, then for the transportation, the railway system that is, you know, was one of the transactions that the president discussed also.
It's a bag of goodies, you know, but I think the major problem will be how we're able to, you know, get as much as the proposals as we can, actualize, you know, as many of the deal areas as we can.
The Russian government accepted Nigeria's call for a government-to-government partnership that will strengthen ties. Discussions centered on reviving the Ajaokuta steel project as well.
One of the biggest thorn on our flesh over the last 40 years is the Ajaokuta steel factory, where we have sunk more than $8 billion. To get Russia to agree to sort it out on a government-to-government basis is a big thing.
Talks also focused on driving the Nigerian agricultural sector's growth. Economic watchers see this as a catalyst to diversification. About 40 heads of state and governments participated in the Russia-Africa Summit, which was the first of its kind.
Now, talking financial matters, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the closure of Nigeria's land borders has had positive impact on the economy. Mr. Emefiele says this has helped create more jobs and positively boost Nigeria's agricultural sector. He made this assertion while speaking with State House correspondents in Abuja. Tayo Modu reports.
It is now a little over 2 months that Nigeria closed its land borders to all goods. It is a policy that has raised a lot of controversy, with naysayers describing it as an ill-advised move, which will only succeed in raising the cost of food in an already struggling economy. But government officials insist that it is only a temporary measure, effected to allow Nigeria's security forces develop a strategy to curb smuggling. It is an argument the governor of the central bank supports. He says that before the borders can be opened, there must be a concrete engagement with countries who encourage goods brought in through their seaports to be smuggled into Nigeria.
The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has been at the center of not just only encouraging the production of rice in Nigeria, but also funding these farmers by giving them loans to acquire, to buy seedlings, or to buy fertilizer, or to buy some of the herbicides that they need for their rice production.
It is a policy that is meant to encourage indigenous farmers to raise the amount of food produced. Indeed, before the policy was implemented, The Republic of Benin had become one of the world's top importers of rice, which was smuggled into Nigeria through the Seme border. But the CBN governor says since the policy was put in place, the story has changed.
A week after the borders were closed, the same Rice Millers Association, Rice Farmers Association, Rice Millers Association called to tell us that, listen, that all the rice that they had in their warehouses have all been sold. Indeed, a lot of people have been depositing money in their accounts, and they're even telling them, please hold on, don't even pay money yet until we finish processing your rice. The Poultry Association themselves have also come to say, listen, that they have sold all their eggs, they have sold all their processed chicken, and that demand is rising. So when you ask what is the benefit of the border closure on the economy of Nigeria, I just use two products, poultry and rice. The benefit is that it has helped to create jobs for our people. It has helped to bring our rice milling, integrated rice mills that we have in the country, also bring them back into business again, and they are making money.
The Nigerian government insists that the closure of its land border is to forestall Nigeria becoming a dumping ground for all sorts of substandard goods. And while it would love to remain good neighbors with all countries bordering it, it cannot continue to allow a free flow of goods that evade customs duties at the detriment of its own economy.
Now, ensuring standardization of the transport system is seen as a propelling force in emerging economies. Yusuf Akogo reports that investment in the automobile industry is important as it enhances domestic connectivity.
The automotive sector is celebrated across the world as one of the most important industries. In 2017 alone, the World Association of Car Manufacturers Organization revealed that about 73.4 million cars and 23.84 million trucks were produced in the world. The average yearly turnover of the world automobile industry for 2017 was more than 2.75 trillion naira, which corresponds to 3.65% of the world gross domestic product. Speakers at this Wheel of Wealth Business Summit say investment in automotive industry is critical to growth and development of emerging economy like Nigeria. They add that challenges business face in moving goods can be addressed with investment in quality transport infrastructure.
The reason why we are even having this program is just to elicit the kind of response to the transport challenges that we have in Nigeria. You see, and the major part of it is the fact that, of course, the roads are not very good as they were, and then we don't really have the waterways, the railways, and the airways that can move goods from point A to point B. And now that's a critical aspect of the Nigerian system that has to be dealt with, such that we don't have any kind of shortfall between the production level and also the consumption level.
We continuously training the level of local technicians. And for East Africa, for our company, we'd like to make a contribution for your country to have your own automobile brand as early as possible.
The need for government to adopt strategies and emerging technologies to solve logistic problems across the country were also highlighted.
Now the Nigerian market has the largest population and the biggest economy, and it's going up now very quickly. So now the worldwide capital is rushing into this market. So they're doing for the oil industry, for the city construction, for the road, everything.
For the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, promoting social and economic inclusion is needed for inflow of foreign direct investment into the automobile sector.
If you have put a policy in place to encourage investors, please we should ensure that the policy works. We should ensure that we deliver the incentives to those who have invested in the sector. So we appeal to government to ensure that all the things that have been promised in the auto policy to support investors in the sector are made available to them.
Experts here agree that practical solutions will help tackle transport challenges affecting businesses across sectors of the economy.
Let's now talk about the role of women in business and governance. Globally today, it remains crucial to sustainability of economies, especially in developing countries like Nigeria. In a bid to have more inclusion across different sectors, women advocates in Lagos launch a study on gendered contentions and fragile conflict and violent affected settings. We have details of this. Women make up 49% of the Nigerian population, and nearly 1 out of every 4 women in sub-Saharan Africa is Nigerian. While this presents potential human resource to enhance productivity, the disparity in socioeconomic opportunities widen compared to men. This is a gathering of actors across the business and political landscape in Nigeria to help change the narrative. The focus of deliberations is not new. The message of the day is to empower women in the sphere of leadership with values of accountability.
This gathering is around evidence-based research on the issues of women's political participation, and one of the expected outcomes is to find strategies through evidence-based research to address some of the challenges that women face when it comes to their political participation, and to be able to enhance policies and, if possible, have better programming that would facilitate and improve participation of women.
Violence and insecurity remains pertinent mitigating efforts towards ensuring economic viability across the country.
So first, we have to improve the intelligence system, the knowledge of what is happening, who is disgruntled, and how people are mobilizing. Second, apart from the technical and management problem, there's a political problem. And the political problem is the way the citizen feels. Who is a Nigerian citizen? How does a Nigerian citizen feel that she is a Nigerian citizen? And how is that person given the hope and the real material interest to believe that they belong to Nigeria and Nigeria belongs to them?
For there to be a way out of this violence and conflict, we need to let people know the danger of living in a violence-ridden, fragile community, and how this impedes on the economic development, the political development, the social development of the community at large. And until people are aware of the danger and its implication on the larger society, people will not know what exactly they need to do to get themselves out of such predicaments.
If Nigeria is to achieve the sustainable development goal of ensuring gender equality in the political and business arena, then there is a lot of work to be done. The Lagos State government has launched a real estate transaction department portal where key players in real estate industry can register and genuinely transact business. Government believes this will end fraudulent and unprofessional practices in the sector. Karima Salami reports.
It's very paramount.
The summit is a stakeholders' engagement on real estate business. This is organized to discuss emerging issues and develop creative ways to curb unfair practices by charlatans who have been defrauding members of the public.
In Nigeria today, the only formal training for the practice of estate agencies is estate management, also known as estate surveying and valuation, which you will find in over 30 universities and polytechnics at both degree and diploma levels in Nigeria.
With the 21st century smart city of Lagos, it is required that virtually all real estate key players' transactions are known and captured electronically.
To explore the development of new technology, to create a platform for establishing business relationships with potential clients and also maintain existing ones. Apart from promoting efficiency, new technology also enhances transparency, which is very essential in establishing and sustaining credibility and integrity in your business.
Business people, lawyers, surveyors, we're in sync. We're ready to sanitize the industry. We're ready to curb the fraud in the real estate industry. And we're good to go because we got the buy-in here today that government needs to take its place in the committee of that business.
The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria lauded the state government's initiative and pledges its support.
Lagos still remains the largest contributors to the NHF because of the public sector end of it. So we just felt that this is the only way to make a financial inclusion of the Lagos State civil servants who should be contributing to the National Housing Fund. That's why we're here to encourage the state to come back so that they benefit from us.
Governor Sanwo-Olu reiterated his administration's drive to bridge the housing deficit gap in Lagos and also tackle the issues between property owners and their clients.
Once we get it right from engagements like this, not only will things work quicker and better for us, it will work smarter and people will have a lot more comfort. At the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win situation. We'll be able to deepen and grow this market. We will know who are the players in this market. And like they said, government will also need to play its own part. How quickly do we give people CFO? How quickly do we ensure that the transaction cost is reduced so that we can grow this economy and Lagos can truly become just a destination choice?
Real estate business owners are charged to be transparent and display integrity in their dealings with the public and also register with the state agency for a better harmonious working relationship with government.
It's time to take a quick break. You're still watching Business Week. When we come back, we have plenty more reports from the rest of Nigeria, Africa and the international front. Don't go anywhere. Glad to have you back. Now, the Tinkan Island Customs Command has uncovered 33 containers of expired smuggled foreign parboiled rice in Lagos. Another 21 containers were also found to contain hundreds of cartons of tramadol, performance enhancement drugs and other unwholesome products. TVC News correspondent Ifunanya Eze reports.
2 months into Nigeria's land border closure, and already smugglers are redirecting their attention to the seaports.
These containers lined up here are 54 in number, but 33 of them are filled with rice. On closer inspection, it was discovered that most of the rice in these containers are expired.
The arrival of the Comptroller General of Customs to physically inspect this particular seizure suggests that this development was expected in view of the border closure. He described the imported containers of expired rice and other prohibited items as dangerous.
Realizing that there may be possible backlash to the closure of the land borders, I directed all seaports and airports beef up their surveillance and intercept any illicit and prohibited consignment. They include 33 containers of rice, 1 container of rice concealed with spare parts, 11 containers of unregistered pharmaceutical products, 2 containers of used tires, 1 of used clothing, and 4 containers of refined vegetable oil in retail packs. The total number of containers are 54 in number.
On the issue of the continued closure of the land borders, he insists the status quo would remain until neighboring countries comply with ECOWAS extant laws on regional trade.
As long as we do not get these people to come and sit down with us and agree to implement the ECOWAS tariff, we didn't design it. It was designed by ECOWAS. We all assent to it, and we want it to be adhered to strictly. If that is achieved, then we'll see how we can manage the borders together, because then it would have become a collective effort with Nigeria and other neighboring countries to ensure that our borders are secured. As long as that is not done, the borders will remain closed.
The 54 seized containers with a duty paid value of more than 2.7 billion naira were in contravention of the 46 and 161 sections of the Customs and Excise Management Act.
And talking about cocoa production, there is need for proper coordination of all functions within the value chain, and greater attention is required to increase the quantity and quality of production. Abiola Shulanke reports that cocoa growers aim to increase production and productivity within the value chain.
Globally, it is estimated that over 4.5 million tons of cocoa beans are consumed yearly, with prospects of the figure increasing. Average cocoa production declined from 420,000 tons in the 60s to 170,000 tons in 1999. Production climbed 389 tons between 2000 and 2010, but fell back to 192,000 tons in 2015 and 2016, making Nigeria the 4th largest producer after Ivory Coast and Ghana. Cocoa has remained over the years a valuable crop and major foreign earner among other agricultural commodity exports of the Nigerian economy. The Nigerian Cocoa Economic Summit themed Capacity Building on Cocoa Grading and Regulation is to reinforce the significant growth and gains of this produce.
We are looking at increasing our production and productivity for cocoa. Currently we're about 245,000 metric tons, which is not good at all for where Nigeria should be. We had envisaged that Nigeria should be like over 500,000 metric tons.
Cocoa production is faced with challenges.
We don't have statistics, we don't have quality, we are not reliable, and we sell cocoa at discount. It will be very sad for you to know that in 1971, our cocoa production was 491,000 tons. Today, we're on 245,000 tons.
Adeola Adegoke is a cocoa farmer. He shares his experience being in the business.
When you look at, we have oat, cocoa trees around, we have inputs, which is another major issue that we're having. We have the climatic issues, and we have other sorts of problems that the farmers are actually facing. Even financing is another problem we're having.
The outcome of this collaboration is the need for Nigeria to increase its cocoa production as well as improve its quality to conform to global market requirements.
And still talking agriculture, Nigeria now has a gender policy for the sector. It is to, amongst other things, address the sector's gender equality gap in favor of women. We have details in this report.
Women play an important role in food security in Nigeria because they carry out about 70% of agriculture production. They farm majority of food for domestic consumption, particularly in rural areas. Women are also active in areas of processing, marketing and preservation.
Women play important part in the processing industry, from oil milling to processing the food that you eat is all part of the process of development in the agricultural sector, on which the women play a very important role, even though not properly recognized.
But women farmers face land access limitations, poor financing, lack of skills, technology and crop insurance, amongst several challenges.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Like me, a woman, I have to pay money for people to farm for me, even weeding, even to chemical. I cannot do it as well as for me. So I give money out for them to put chemical for me.
A gender policy for agriculture has now been introduced. It is to, amongst other things, promote and ensure gender-sensitive and responsive approaches in agriculture planning, such that men and women have equal access and control of agricultural inputs to bridge the sector's gender gap while enhancing food security.
We're talking of building the capacity, the skills and competencies of gender desk officers so that they will have the capacity to identify gender issues and equally bridge gender gap.
The opportunities that agriculture offers now is so huge and so encompassing that if we are going to move forward, we have to make women all-inclusive in our development plans.
These smallholder women farmers are hopeful the new gender policy will meet their farming needs.
Expect them to still give me some seed of crops for next year, against next year, and chemical and money that we use to give people for jobs.
If they can help us with some of money, that it will help us, and chemical that we will use to apply on our farm so that the work will be easier for us.
An approach which includes multi-sectoral collaborations will be adopted to implement the policy's 11 thematic areas.
Well, that's it on this edition of Business Week. I now leave you with graphic details of the commodities market. Many thanks for watching.